What's up guys, welcome to the Chess Giant. This is Solomon Riddell, and in today's video we're covering how not to play the Squirrel Variation of the Alekhine's defense. Now usually on this channel we cover how to play different openings and the strategy behind them. However, this may be one of the worst chess openings I've ever seen in my entire life, and I'm guessing the reason it's called the Squirrel Variation is because it's kind of squirrely. Now usually guys, it would take us one move to get our knight from g8 to e7. Usually we would just play knight e7 and boom, your knight is on e7 in one move. But guys, we're not trying to play chess like a normal human being. We are trying to play chess like a squirrel. And because of this, it's going to take us potentially 5 moves to get our knight to e7. Trust me guys, this knight on g8 is about to go on a journey, a full-on marathon with knight f6, knight d5, knight f4, knight g6, and potentially right back to e7, which yet again usually would only take one move. But in all seriousness, it's always fun to go over animal name chess openings, and look, if you're playing against a friend and happen to go full out squirrel on him and get the dub, that's some serious bragging rights right there. Now, as I mentioned, it actually starts off with the Alekhine's defense, a good chess opening for black against the move e4, in which case we play knight f6, and against e5, centralize our knight to that d5 square. Now, usually against the 2-pawn attack with c4, we bring our knight back to b6, play d6, looking to undermine and put some pressure on the center there, continue with a move like knight c6, and we're just playing chess. But yet again, guys, we're not trying to play normal chess. We're not trying to play a good chess opening, but instead play like a squirrel and play the move knight f4 with the Squirrel Variation. What on earth is black doing here? To be completely honest, guys, I don't know. I mean, what is this knight on f4 doing? I mean, I guess it's attacking the pawn on g2, which, by the way, is defended, and potentially maybe a knight d3 checkmate idea in the case of knight e2. But guys, how often is knight e2 going to be played? Probably never. I really think the reason someone would play this is because they're trying to move this knight around as much as they possibly can and get white to continue pushing their pawns. Now, usually the move d4 is actually what white plays against the move knight b6, but now with our knight on f4, white is playing this move and attacking our knight on f4. So we're going to bring that knight back to that g6 square. Notice here how it has taken us 4 moves to get our knight from g8 to g6. That is literally all we've done in this game so far. And look guys, if white plays a move like knight c3, we can actually continue with an idea of c5 putting pressure on d4, or even d6 putting pressure on e5, and black actually might be okay there, but I want to cover the best option for white, and that is h4. This is a crushing move for white, really trying to trap our knight on g6. I mean, notice here the knight really has nowhere to go. It can't move to h8, f8, or e7 legally, and if this knight moves to any of these 3 squares, it's simply going to be captured. So here we have to play the move e6, preparing for h5 with knight e7. Now let's just say you're at a chess tournament, an over-the-board chess tournament, and you walk past and you see this position. What on earth has happened? Well, really all black's done is put a pawn on e6 and put a knight on e7, while white has pushed their pawns down the board like there is no tomorrow. I would say that white is much better in this position, but white does need to be a little bit careful. For example, if white continues to push the pawns with a move like f4, this can actually create very weak light squares in the center of the board, and on top of that, this king is a little bit exposed. I think against the move f4, we should actually continue with d5, and really no matter what white plays, we're going to continue by taking that pawn on c4, and then playing knight d7 with the idea of playing knight b6, attacking that light squared bishop. And then the very next move, getting our bishop c8 out into the game with bishop d7 followed by bishop c6. And I actually think that black is okay here. And if a move like bishop d2, we can play queen d7. And keep in mind, guys, it's not really ever a good idea for white to castle kingside once this pawn has been pushed all the way down the board, because the king is a little bit exposed, especially the square on g3. I mean, here we could play a move like castling kingside, and against a move like bishop e4, that's okay. We can take that bishop off the board, and now we have ideas like knight d5 or even knight f5 here, attacking the pawn on d4, attacking that very key g3 square, which at the moment is defended, but this is really making that knight on e4 a prisoner to that square, and I would actually take black here every single time. So again, guys, if you see a move like f4 or g4, I mean, white just continuing to hurl pawns down the board, it actually makes their position a little bit more weak than ours. We can continue with ideas like d5, capturing on c4, knight d7, knight b6, get our bishop to that c6 square, put our queen on d7, castle queenside, and I actually think that black is okay. But what happens here if white plays absolutely perfectly and continues with h6? This is by far white's best move, really putting some pressure on g7, and we do need to be a little bit careful here. We definitely don't want to play g6 because that would allow bishop g5 and bishop f6. I mean, just absolutely crushing position for white, attacking our rook on h8. And we're also not going to take the pawn, but instead just keep the tension here, and that's completely okay. We're going to continue yet again with our move of d5, attacking c4. And at any moment, if white wants to take our pawn on g7, we'll simply take back with the bishop, and everything's going to be okay. Now, let's say white continues with a move like knight f3. We could take the pawn on c4 and then continue with our idea of knight d7, knight b6, bishop d7, and c6. But I think in this case, with the pawn all the way down to h6, and the knight down on f3, we need to get our pieces developed as quickly as possible because we don't want to get checkmated. We need to play a move like knight bc6, and against a move like knight c3, we can now continue with a6, and yet again, if white ever captures our pawn on g7, we can simply take back with the bishop. Now, one of white's best ideas here is actually taking that pawn and then playing the move bishop h6. What do we do against this? Well, we're going to take that bishop off the board and then continue with the move like bishop d7. Another key idea here in the Squirrel Variation is to play queen b8, queen a7, and get that king out of there with castling kingside. This is actually a surprisingly fun position to play if you can achieve that setup. But if we see a move like bishop d3, attacking our pawn on h7, we're now going to take the pawn on c4. And if a move like bishop takes c4, we can now play moves like knight a5, attacking the bishop, followed by bishop c6. We could play knight f5, attacking the rook on h6, followed by queen e7. And white is better here, but I do think that black has a chance to draw or even win this game if white does not continue to play perfectly. And all of a sudden, you might beat one of your friends with the Squirrel Variation. And look, y'all, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and tell you that this is a good position for black. It's not. This is a much better position for white. However, that being said, it's not losing. And if black continues to play resourceful and good defensive chess, there is a decent chance that they can climb back into this game, or should I say squirrel back into this game, and maybe even get the acorn. If you guys would like to learn the actual Alekhine's defense, click the video to the left. If you'd like to learn how to play the hippopotamus defense, an animal chess opening that is actually good, that you can play with either white or black, click the video to the right. Leave a comment below to let me know what other videos you'd like to see covered on this channel. And as always, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.